Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. We have already completed 2 sketcher exercises and this is the third exercise that we are going to do today. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Now I have already opened Catia, so let me just close the default file and open a new part file. Let me give it a name. And I'll go to the sketcher straight away. Now the sketch is relatively complex in comparison to the first 2 sketches that we made, and in the first 2 sketches I did not have any strategy to make sketches, but in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider this point that you see here as my origin. So I'll try and coincide this point with the vertical and horizontal axis of my sketch so that I can reference these circles that you see relatively easily. So when I have this as my reference, you can see that I actually know positions of the circles and I can position them easily with respect to this point. So I'll try and make this as my origin in this sketch. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to start off by creating this bottom circle which is of diameter 26. Now if you see that this circle's location with respect to horizontal is actually 22, that is its vertical distance is actually 22, and its horizontal location is, if you subtract 38 and 38 from 96, you'll get this distance as well. So basically we'll know its location in horizontal as well, right? So I know this circle's diameter, I know its vertical and horizontal location, so I'll create this circle first with respect to this point. Okay, so let me select this tool, circle, and you may remember that I told you that when we enter values in sketch tools, those constraints are actually directly applied. Okay, so let me just create this first circle using sketch tools, and I can enter the horizontal value which is of 96 minus 76. Okay, you can enter such calculations and the dialog box will actually calculate it for you. So if I enter 96 minus 76, the value will be calculated for me. Okay, and if I press tab, I can go to the vertical column, vertical box, and I can enter the value which is 22. Okay, so this will give me the location of the center. Let me just press enter. So this has now basically created that circle on the center, but I've not specified the radius value. Let me specify the radius value as well, which is 26 divided by 2. Okay, so you'll see that the circle has now been created and the constraints have been applied. Okay, dimensional constraints which I entered have now been applied. Okay, so you can see this is at a distance of 22, this is at a distance of 20, right? I find creating circles or any such geometry with sketch tools a little bit tedious, so I'll create circles in another way. You can see that there is another big circle here. Okay, and I know its diameter is 44, its location is 70 from the horizontal and in the vertical. Let us see how we'll calculate that. Okay, so let me first create a circle anywhere. Okay, and I know this location is 70, so let me just enter that constraint, apply that constraint. Okay, this is 70, so I'll apply that constraint which is 70, right? 70. What about this distance? We know that this is 38, right? And we calculated this just now, so it will be 38 plus 20, right? So let me apply that constraint as well. Okay, 58, right? I know its diameter value, so let me apply that as well. Okay, 44. Now I can create this circle as well. Okay, so let me create this circle. Okay, it has a radius of 14, so let me apply Now you can see that this is actually an arc here. Okay, I've created a circle, but it's okay. I can always trim it later. So let it be circle. Now this location, the circle's location is actually not known, but what I can do is that I can create few lines. I don't want to apply these constraints again. Okay, so what I want to do is I can create this line. Okay, and I can also create this line, something like this, right? Okay, but I don't want these lines to be in my sketch, right? So what I can do is I can make these lines as my construction lines. Okay, also since I want to position this circle with respect to these two lines, with respect to these two circles, what I can do is I can make this line as vertical. I can apply certain constraint on this, let it be vertical, and let this be horizontal. Okay, so you can see that this is now fully constrained. Okay, now what else? I can create these lines. Okay, this line and this line. So let me create these two lines, something like this, something like this, something like that. Okay, but the lines that it has created are actually construction. I don't want them to be construction, so let it be like this. Me create this line as well. Okay, so I've created these lines. Okay, I have intentionally tried to create them as horizontal and vertical. Okay, so that I don't need to apply the constraints again. Okay, now this circle is also there. Okay, I know its location, so let us create this circle also. See, when I'm creating the circle, you can see that some constraints are getting applied, but be very careful that you don't apply these constraints, because if these constraints are applied, as you can see, if a tangency constraint is created, then you'll need to delete these constraints. So simply press shift while creating the circle so that no unwanted constraints are applied. Okay, so I know this circle's dia is actually 40, so let me apply the diameter value. Sorry, it was 40, right? So let it be 40, right? Okay, I also know this circle's radius value, which is 32, so let us create that as well. Okay, before that, let me just apply the distance of the circle, which is at a distance of 144. Let me apply that constraint first instead. This is at a distance of 144. So let me double click here. Okay, what about this location? Okay, this is actually at a distance of 50 from this circle, right? So let me just create this circle first instead, right? Let me just create this circle too. It has a radius of dia of 20, so there's another circle. This is of radius 20, so let me apply a constraint to that as well. Okay, so this circle has been created. This circle, which is actually an arc, has also been created. I'll trim it afterwards. Okay, so this location is actually 120 plus 70 from the horizontal. Okay, so let me apply that constraint. Plus 70, which is 190. Okay, what about this distance? Okay, this is 50. Okay, See, when I'm trying to create distance between these two circles, can you see that it is applying distance in this fashion? Okay, but what I want is a horizontal distance. So what I can do is I can right click while it's creating this and I can say horizontal measure direction. Okay, so it will apply distance like this. Okay, double click and change the value to 50. Okay, this distance is actually, how much is this distance? It's actually right above this, right? So this distance will be actually 20, right? So let it be 20. Or what I can do is instead I can create a line passing from this point and this point. Make this line as construction, okay, and make this line as vertical. So that will also do the same thing. Instead of applying this dimension, what I can do is I can create this construction line. Okay, so this is what I've got now. Okay, so this is what I've got. I need to create a circle here. Okay, this is of dia 40. I need to create a circle which is of radius 32. Okay, so same center, circle, radius 32. Okay, something like this. Okay, I can trim it afterwards, but let us first create all the lines. This line is also there and it is passing through this circle center. So, although it may not seem obvious, and it is okay, if you require further clarification, you can ask, say, suppose, how can you say that this line is actually passing from the circle's center? Okay, it's very valid question, but in this case it seems so I'm creating this line. Okay, if it would have been given, say, a distance between this circle center and this line, I would have used that distance, but since it's not available, this distance is not available, I'm taking a good guess that this circle is actually right above this circle and this line is actually coinciding with this circle center, and I'm making those sort of guesses. Okay, so let us create this line also, which is passing through the circle center. So something like this. Okay, and vertical line. I can of course extend it all the way downwards. Okay, and make it coincide with the circles. Say this needs to coincide with this circle. Okay, so let it coincide. Okay, something like this. What about this? We have already created a circle of diameter 44, right? This one, but there is another circle, an arc basically of radius 38. So let us create that circle too. Okay, something like this. So again, you see it is trying to apply certain constraints. Okay, I don't want, be very careful while you are creating, just press shift. Okay, so it won't apply those constraints. Okay, so this needs to be of radius 38. Okay, something like this. Now my geometry is almost complete. Now what I can do is okay, so it's this line that I've not dimensioned as yet. Okay, I've not constrained it as yet. You can see that this line is actually tangent to this circle. Okay, so what I can do is I can select this circle and make this line tangent. Okay, apply tangency constraint, something like this. Okay, so my geometry is more or less complete. Okay, now there is an arc applied here. Okay, so let us apply that arc as well using corner, this corner. Okay, and I don't want to trim it at the moment, so I'll select no trim, apply a corner, then this and this. What's happening? So this is some radius value which is 40. So let it be 40, something like this. Okay. So my sketch is more or less complete, but I'll need to trim it. Okay, and apply some radius values afterwards. So let us trim what is excess. I'll select quick trim now, this thing. Okay, quick trim, and double click so that it stays in the command. Okay, I'll trim this. Okay, I trim this as well. Now you see certain constraints are getting unapplied. No problem, we can apply them again. Okay, let me just trim this line, trim this line. Okay, let's trim this circle. Okay, let's trim this circle. Let's trim this line. So trim this circle. Okay, let's trim this line. Okay, so as you can see that the sketch is more or less complete, but with some exceptions. Say this line, actually this line needs to coincide with this center, right? So I'll select this line and select this center and make them coincide once again. Okay, something like this. You can see there is a radius value of 15 here, so let us apply that radius too. Now this time I can select trim option. Okay, trim all elements, radius 15, right? So double click and change the value to 15. What about this? This is also 15, so let us apply a corner of 15 here as well. Okay, something like this. This radius is also there, so let us apply a corner there as well. Okay, something like this. So you can see the sketch is complete, but we need to analyze it so that we can be sure. Now this hatching that you see, it was actually created to imply that this is actually a cut section. Okay, this is basically a cut section. This is a section view. Okay, but we don't need to create hatch in our sketch. Okay, our sketch is complete. It satisfies the conditions that the sketch should not be open. Okay, it should be fully constrained. We can see from the tools the sketch solving status, and we can see that it is ISO constrained. Okay, it should be fully constrained, ISO constrained. It should not be self intersecting. Okay, and it should not be open. That means it should be closed. You can see all the profiles are actually closed, right? And it should not have any standard point, this point. Okay, like this point should not be there. It's not there, so sketch is ISO constrained. Okay, we can see in the sketch status that it is ISO constrained. So this sketch has been made. It was a little difficult to make. Okay, it was a little tricky as well. I created these lines instead of applying constraints again. Okay, I could have easily applied constraints to this circle as well by specifying that this distance is 58. I would have again applied this distance as 58 also in this circle as well, right? So I'll suggest you create this exercise on your own rather than following me. Create this exercise on your own, and when you create, you'll make mistakes and try and correct those mistakes. If you face any issues, just mention in the comment section. I took maybe 10-15 minutes. Okay, you should also take perhaps the same time or even less, and I'd suggest once you created the second time, created the third time, it would give you a good idea of how different constraints are applied and how you can basically apply one thing in place of the other and things like that. It will help you discover different options. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. If you like the video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you very much.